when a Mark IV Supra JDM was like 20 grand.
Less than that.
Less than
that.
I think we saw 2 Testarossas, 35,000 US.
Yeah.
You're lying.
I'm not lying.
What?
Diablo SV, 60
What?
grand.
What?
Yeah. And then at the time that I bought my
What?
2.516, there was an Evo 2 for 55 US.
Yeah.
Now it's
Wait,
like 350
what?
US. So immediately I call my friend, the exotic car dealer guy. I'm like, hey, should I buy this car? He's like, no, nobody wants it. And Cup cars, Carrera Cup cars. He's like, nobody wants that stuff, man. And it's ride so harsh, blah, blah, blah. Don't do it. Because I'm like, hey, I can get this C2 for 20 grand. He's like, no, nobody wants that stuff. So he probably cost me like $500,000.
No, easily. Welcome to another episode of Modify with TrickFactory Customs. If this is your first time watching, we're a custom automotive shop based here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And we just talk about car modifications because we built some really cool cars. And today we have a special guest. We're going to do all the introductions. So with that said, my name is Elvis.
I'm Rob. Tim.
Charlie.
Awesome. And on this episode, I think it's going to be interesting because we are going to be talking all about JDM imports or JDM importers, how to import JDM cars. It's going to be just one big, amazing topic because
Charles is the OG JDM importer.
He's had some experience, yeah.
So he's the one that introduced me to it and he's actually got a couple of cars for me and started off the whole Evo thing.
Oh,
That's where it all came from. So he got me my first 2.516.
No way.
And then after that, the G-Wagon, I believe. Yeah, the G-Wagon.
G36.
Yeah. And I got
pre-merger AMG. My goodness.
you got the little 911 SC for me back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Nice.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
The mystery Porsche.
Yeah, the mystery Porsche, yeah.
So we're going to dive more into that. But before we get started in this episode, let's just go over and just let's know how our weeks have been. So who wants to begin?
I've had a glorious week. No, it's been really good. Kind of the same as last time we were talking. I'm kind of all over the place, but we're still on development of a few things. I've been working on the 190E development program thing that we're doing.
Nice.
As well as working with Tim and our renderers for a couple of the other projects that we're working on right now.
And I saw your design for the Skylark, what's it called, fenders?
Fender vents, yeah.
Oh,
the
the front
vents.
fender vents, yeah.
It looked so good.
I mean, that's a big part of what building a car is about, right? So coming up with all your little wild ideas, and I've been using Sketchbook. I think we talked about this a little bit
with
before.
your iPad.
And yeah, just sort of working on a couple different variations of that. And
If you're not sure what we're talking about, we're building a 1,500 horsepower fully custom Skylark pretty much from the ground up. And if you want to see more info, if you haven't watched our YouTube channel, you can check it out at TrickFactory Customs. And if you're still not sure about the fender vents, because we posted a poll, I think, on this past week on what options we should go with fender vent designs. And so, yeah.
I'd actually like to know where we're at with that poll because...
Option A.
Yeah, the more
Option A
aggressive
is
one.
the more
aggressive one.
Yeah.
Oh, the
subtle.
much bigger one.
Yeah, I prefer that too.
Yeah, I'm a subtle kind of guy. I like option B, I guess it is the much smaller one, but hey.
Nah, go big or go home.
That one's too relatable to OEM. And I think that's pretty much everybody's critique is you can reference it to a BMW and Aston Martin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Well, I mean, and yeah, deep down inside my core of automotive love, that's what I love the most. So,
And with that said, what have you been up to?
Basically, from that point, I go back and forth with the renders, and then we make it into a makeable part. So now the next phase is having it actually digitally rendered, cleaned up, and then we 3D scan the car.
Yep.
So then they use that point, and then we'll get that turned into a CAD file. Then we can 3D print it. Customer can see it in real life, sign off on it. Then we take it one step further. We turn that into a mold, and then we pull the carbon part.
Wow.
So there's a lot of layers into it. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's any faster. If anything, it's longer. It's just the finished product is more OEM quality, I'd call it.
what are you working on right now, Charlie?
Okay, hang on a second. We got to make sure we're not throwing them under the bus. Does other people know you bought this car already?
Oh,
Yes, yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
You've told the family already.
It's leaked out. The evolution of ownership went from you to me. Well, I'm buying it for Tim, but actually it was buying for me. But anyways, yeah, I got I'm doing the 190E, to stock, but it's a 2.6 liter one. So I like the 6-cylinder one, and it's only got 78,000 kilometers on it. So it's
No
pretty clean.
way.
Yeah,
What
78K.
year?
89.
Oh my god.
So that's the reason I bought it, because it had a low K. It's a good survivor car, and it's pretty clean. It's been sitting for a number of years underground parking, so getting it running and getting it going is the challenge. But
And you got it for pre-Evo pricing.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
god.
you did.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I was actually looking at that same car. If it's the same one I'm thinking of on Facebook Marketplace,
Yeah.
I saw that thing and I was like, oh, I was not in the market for that car specifically, but I was so close. Like Spencer
Yeah.
was giving me the bad ideas, and I was like, just buy it, just do it.
No,
just do it.
I saw it.
just
and
twist in
I've
the
been
arm.
I've been watching the market. You know, I'm always eyeballing stuff and looking for a deal. But yeah, this one here, because of the fact that the condition of it's in and the low K's verified. So I thought for what I paid for, I thought, yeah, this is something to jump on.
Does
For
it
sure.
run and drive though?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
That hence the cheap price.
Okay. Was it ran when parked?
You know, it supposedly, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that was 2014. What, 8 years ago?
Oh, that was the last time I was registered.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I eyeballed the plate. Says 2014. Have decals on it. Says 2014 on it. So I got that, and then the other project I'm trying to clean up on is a '89 BMW E34.
Ooh.
Right. So that's
That's cool.
another cleanup card I got to do. On it says Bimmer Sports on it. So basically, what it has a Recaro interior,
I love that. That is
but
so cool.
not just the Recaro seats in the front, but Recaro in the rear. So it's totally Recaro power seats and the whole thing, and the interior is mint on it.
Nobody knows how many cars he actually has.
And it just spread around.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in storage and different parking facilities.
Yeah. Don't reveal those things to us. Yeah.
You don't need to know. I can tell you, but I have to kill you.
And then for me, we've been working on the Lambo. The Lambo Tahoe body swap thing that we're building. If you don't know what we're talking
Euro.
about, yes.
The
Check out our
Lambo
YouTube channel.
Euro.
Yeah.
You're a hole.
Yes.
It's crazy that this project, how ridiculous it is, how popular it is.
I know.
Like there's almost no hate on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's probably the most ridiculous thing we've ever done. Where we'll build crazy stuff and it's like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? This one hasn't been like that. which
No,
is
it's
pretty
been
wild.
awesome.
People are excited to actually see it, so it's pretty fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is inspiring for us. I mean, it gets us fired up. I think there's going to be hate to be coming yet. There's going to be some hate.
There's nothing to hate on.
No,
Oh, yeah.
because even the
Come
Lambo
on.
itself is an Audi underneath. So I guess they body swapped it from the beginning.
False advertising.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we're excited for that. And so with that said, we're just going to dive right into the main topic of conversation, which is JDM Imports. If you do not know what a JDM car is, it's pretty much, JDM stands for Japanese Domestic Market. And so these are cars that were made specifically for Japan or in Japan. And technically, even if someone buys a Japanese car that was sold in Canada, it's technically not a JDM car because it wasn't made for the Japanese domestic market.
So there's a lot of little subtle differences.
Yeah.
Yeah. The JDM stuff is like, it's basically right-hand drive,
Yes.
right?
But there's
So-
left-hand JDM market only stuff.
True.
Porsches, Mercedes, BMWs.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't the left-hand drive cars in Japan? That's kind of like a status symbol kind of thing there, wasn't it?
Yeah, when the earlier models of stuff like AMGs and, you know, your M3s or whatever cars that are high-performance cars, the Japanese guys and Porsches and that, they felt that they had a left-hand drive car. It was more of a status thing because of the fact it was more original to what
Yeah.
the car was, as opposed to a right-hand drive Mercedes. Well, it's a German car that was
Yeah, but isn't it right-hand drive in Germany?
No, I
No,
think
it's
it's left-hand
left-hand
drive.
only places that's right-hand drive in Europe is England, the English. Only the English.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah, that's
And-
right. When we were in Germany, we're on the right
Yeah,
side of
what's
the
all-
road.
Yeah. They're
Left-hand
like, and the JDM stuff will be primarily in Japan, but they'll export to places like Australia, right?
Yep.
Hong Kong, right? It's right-hand drive,
Oh.
right? Singapore, you know, all the old British colonies will be right-hand drive. In Africa, same thing.
Yeah, Kenya
right?
has right-hand drive. I was mind blown when I went there. I was like, what?
As soon as you cross the border in the other country, it's left-hand drive.
Yeah.
So they're switching over, right? It's like
they do that at
it's
border
like- it's
cross?
the
I
same-
know.
You gotta wonder.
we were driving. I was going from Hong Kong to China, And as soon as you cross the border, it's kind of, okay, we're going over here now. Like it's, you know. And then the guys that are driving right-hand drive cars in China on the left-hand side of on the right-hand side of the road, then you have to have a spotter on your passenger eyes to see what the traffic's coming. You can, can I pass yet? You have to kind of look out, oh, okay, we're good.
Kind of reminds me of like one of those old slot car tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I mentioned that too because some of the roads are like one lane roads, and so if you want to pass someone slow on the, and so you have to pretty much overtake. But if you're right hand drive in a left hand drive country, like you literally have to just look and pray.
Yeah.
Like have to like do like nope,
Yeah.
go back.
You need a spotter. You need somebody who can stick their head out there. You know. Especially if you're falling behind something like a truck or something, you have no vision.
You can't see.
It's just like this, you know, all I see is the accent of a truck, and okay, now am I going to go or not, or you have to hang back.
So we are in Canada, and the import laws are from 15 years.
Yeah.
And you can import anything 15 years and older.
Yeah.
But in the States or America, you can only import things 25 years or older.
Yeah.
And so we get to have a lot of the fun stuff way before the Americans get them.
Yeah.
So I think that is my favorite thing since moving to Canada. It's
we're
the
the first
import
bracket.
laws.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've been importing. How long have you even been importing cars for?
Oh, God. Probably I started around 2010.
Before it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing it for
when
it's been quite a while.
When a Mark IV Supra JDM was like 20 grand.
Yeah.
And even
less
from
than that.
Japan.
Less than that. Oh yeah, like I watched the market of cars. Like I mean, remember years ago we talked about Porsche 960, the 964s and how cheap they were. I mean, we should get. Oh yeah, I mean, you know, we're kind of humming and hawing. I don't know, it's kind of still a lot of money. But then next thing you know, boom, the price went off the roof. Like,
Yeah.
I guess we should have bought one.
Kicking
Yeah.
ass now.
Same with
Okay,
the
this
Ferraris
happened
too.
like
Yeah.
Ferrari Testarossas.
Yeah.
I hit up my friend. I'm gonna call him out, and I asked him, and he's like, "No, don't do it. You're gonna be sitting on those things." So I could have bought. I think we saw 2 Testarossas, 35,000 US.
Yeah.
You're lying.
I'm not lying.
What?
Diablo SV, 60
What?
grand.
What?
Yeah. And then at the time that I bought my
What?
2.516, there was an Evo 2 for 55 US.
Yeah.
Now it's
Wait,
like 350
what?
US
Wait, whoa. A Diablo SV
for 60
for
grand.
60 grand.
So of course, immediately I call my friend, the exotic car dealer guy. I'm like, "Hey, should I buy this car?" He's like, "No, nobody wants it." And cup cars, Carrera cup cars. He's like, "Nobody wants that stuff, man. And it's ride so harsh, blah blah blah. Don't do it." Because I'm like, "Hey, I can get this C2 for 20 grand." He's like, "No, nobody wants that stuff." So he probably cost me like $500,000.
No, easily. A Ferrari Testarossa for 35 grand?
But at the
at the
time, they're
time.
like 75.
Yeah.
That's still
75 Canadian,
huge
but
value.
like 35 US. Yeah, but it was $15,000 service. And he's like, "Yeah, then you're gonna sit on it because you got to bring the service up to date. You're gonna be sitting on it for 6 months. You're gonna make 5-10 grand on it." I was like,
I don't need that
Yeah.
negativity in my life.
now they're like $150, but they peaked at like $250.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So lots of missed opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we got Rob's 911 for like 8 grand.
Which one? The one you have now?
No.
No, like back in the day, the
Or
one
your
that
SC?
Charlie got for us was there was a 911 SC, but like we were talking right before the podcast, when Tim and I first saw it, we're like,
It's
"Oh
supposed
my
to be a
god,
964.
like we need to get this
Oh.
car," because I thought it was supposed to be a 930,
Yeah.
and we're like, "Okay, this car is gonna sell for this much." We thought it was this. We ended up winning the bid, and then it landed here for us, you know, all in
11,
at
12
12.
grand or something Canadian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like so,
What?
Well,
Yeah,
it turns
but wait.
it turns out that it was a 911 SC. It wasn't a newer
It was
model.
supposed to be
one.
like an 86, ended up being a 79.
So what we thought was like just like this unbelievable
Oh,
good
no.
deal
Yeah.
turned out to just be a really good deal.
Yeah.
And
but
so,
at the
anyways,
time,
I
it
drove
wasn't
that
a
car
great
for a
deal.
couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove that car for a couple of years. It needed a full restoration. Like I mean, it was a classic Porsche, so it
Yeah.
leaked oil. It needed everything.
But the body,
but it was actually a
but the
really
body
good-
was good on it.
painted with a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was horrible.
it was horrible, and
Wow.
being the types of people that we are, like we can't leave well enough alone. And you see one thing, you're like, okay, it makes you investigate. Well, why is that like that? And then you look in, and you're like, oh god, this is gross too, and that needs to be touched. The whole car turned out to be requiring a full restoration. at that point in my life, I was like, I'm not ready for this commitment. I mean, it was, even at that time, it was probably an $80,000 restoration. I mean, of course, that's like a resto hot rod, but
Now looking at what those values of those cars are, they're through the roof.
Yeah, but it's still only 100 grand car.
still not really that great, because the 911 SC is a good car. I think it was probably Porsche's 911 that was like their first generation that was actually reliable and good.
Oh, I see.
The SC Super Carrera was kind of a big deal for them at that time, but it was not great.
Was it a G50 tranny or no? That was
it
in
had
the
the
915.
915.
Oh, okay.
So it's still, I mean, it worked good, but it was old world. The 930 model that came right after that SC had significant upgrades to it that made it like actually a good car. And then the 964 after that was even better. I mean, we could go on and on about Porsche, but like, turns out we got a really good deal regardless.
Yeah.
It didn't start out as a good deal. It turned into a good deal after further investigation.
Yeah. And then after a couple of years, I drove it for a couple of years, and I just wasn't in a position to give it the love it needed. So I passed it on to another guy. So the car imported to Canada from Japan. I think it was one of like maybe 310 cars imported in Japan in that year.
Yep.
And I think it was probably one of like,
It was the only, because we
only
did the
apple
Porsche thing.
green.
Oh,
Porsche.
apple
green.
Yeah, 70s, 80s car,
I don't think
right?
I've ever seen an apple
like a-
green.
like a
It's
Viper
super
green.
rare.
Oh my
Super
gosh.
It's super rare. So when I discovered what that was on that car, I was like, I need to take it back to that color, because that's,
It was
you know,
basically almost
in-
acid green.
That is cool.
yeah. I mean, Porsches and classic Porsches and stuff like that. If you get like a rare color like that, it deserves to be that color. And I wasn't about that at that time, because I was like all about like RWBs and all that kind of stuff at that time. I was like just enamored with that style, and that's what I really wanted to do. I'm like, no, I am not doing that to this car, to this car. And so I just passed it on, and it went back to Germany. So from Japan to Canada and back to Germany, and
For restoration.
I'm hoping
That's crazy.
I'm hoping that the guy that bought it restored it back.
Yeah, maybe
The guy
one
that
day.
bought it from him forgot that he bought it.
Really?
We had to call him a week later and be like, hey, are you going to pick
Hey,
up
come
this
come
car?
pick up your car.
And then he gave us more money to go drop it off. It went straight in the container into Germany. He never even
What?
looked at it.
That's funny. Wow.
But that's that market, like that 911 market was like super, super hot at that time. Like there's a couple of guys locally here that are just absolutely focused in that market.
yeah, air
And
cooled
like you will
911s.
never find a good deal here.
Wow.
Because those guys got him on lockdown.
Yeah.
And so talk to us about importing cars from Japan. Like just give us the spark notes of like the steps. How does it start give us from start to finish?
Well, I guess the first thing you got to do, you got to find somebody you can trust. Because, you know, like I deal with a broker in Japan. I've been dealing since day one. So him and I have had a relationship there going on, 10, 12 years,
Wow.
13 years. And he's gone from different companies, but I always followed with him, right? So once we establish a relationship, meaning somebody can trust that, we see something, they have the ability to send somebody to the auctions, inspect the car, translate the reports, because it's all in Japanese. So you get an idea what the condition of the cars are and stuff like that. And then somebody that you actually going to send the money, they're actually going to buy the car and ship it to you, right? So once you establish that relationship, then from there, it's just a matter of finding the cars, chasing the cars, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember a little while back, my daughter Lanny, Jim's wife, she really wanted a G-Wagon. She had to have a G-Wagon, right? Like that was the car to have. So we looked around for G-Wagon. This is quite a few years ago, and then most of the G-Wagons back then you can bring over were like probably G320s or maybe a G500. 550s weren't around yet. So that's when kind of the generation you look at. But what I stumbled across was a G36.
Wow.
Which is only about 500 were built. So we ended up bidding on that, and successful bring a G36 over, right? And the car's still around.
Yeah, we still have it.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
But that
We
car
had a G-Wagon, I think that was when was it? It was before G-Wagons were imported to Canada.
Oh.
So like we had one of the first G-Wagons in town. I think there's one other G36 that another company had brought in.
Only 500 were made.
Of that particular
Yeah,
G36.
pre-merger.
Yeah.
AMG. That is, so I'm guessing it's very
96.
sought
It was
after
a
right now.
96. It was just right on the
Yeah.
cusp of the merger. It was a 96. So.
Ours is a 99.
Is it 99?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
So it's like one of the last pre-merger AMGs made. And you can see how they did it too. Like I think that's kind of part of the cool thing about pre-merger AMGs is like they put a bigger motor in it. They just cut stuff out of the way. Like you look in there, it's like this big saber saw chunk missing. And just jam
Oh,
it
shoot.
in.
You can see the saw marks?
Yeah.
That's actually cool. That's so cool.
There's like that's one of the things with the hammers. Why it's called a hammer is because they like beat the firewall with a hammer.
There's hammer marks on it.
I actually did not know that's why it was called a hammer.
That's
What?
that's one of the things.
That's so funny. Oh, that's cool. And then like when the car is like what about shipping? Like is that
But
usually hard or no?
No. Once again, if you have a broker, you find somebody there who you can trust, and basically, once you put a bid on a car and you get it, and they take care of the paperwork, the deregister. You have to deregister the car out of Japan, and then
Okay.
find a shipping company. Like I've done it both ways. I've had cars come in a container, and I've also put on what you call roll on, roll off. The stipulation put on a roll, the car has to run. They're not gonna,
So they can
they're
drive
not
it
gonna
off.
push it on. They have to,
Okay.
the car has to drive on and drive off, right? So, or otherwise you're going to put them in a container. The first go around I did containers, and we in a 40-foot container you can stack 4 cars in there, right? And how they do it, they don't stack them on top of it. They kind of put them on an angle and they chain them up like this, like diagonal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how they do it. And then you got to find a guy.
What?
You got to find somebody here who can take them off the container.
Wow.
Right? So it's a bit of a process, but the roll is the easiest way to go. But once you have a relationship with a guy that you can trust and they can do it for you, then it's just basically rinse and repeat, just over and over again. So I've done this a few hundred times. It's quite a few times, and we brought in some pretty interesting stuff. Like I said, I brought over the 2.5 16 valve for Tim.
Yep.
Well, his was part of the 4th or 5th one that I brought over. Wow. I've had other ones too, and 2.3s, right? And that was before they were popular.
Yeah,
Right.
prices of
And unfortunately, most of the ones in Japan were auto boxes, right? You couldn't find one that was a standard. I mean, basically, everyone you looked at, auto box. So you buy them.
Is yours auto?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Ah,
But I have all the manual stuff for it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
that's
not
cool.
like-
Like
Convert
5
over,
speed.
yeah.
I've got all the things. It's just
Yeah.
we jumped into the other one, so I got to go back to that.
Yeah.
and the thing too about the Mercedes, if you want to convert it over, in the firewall, all your pedal cuts and everything, they're already there.
Oh, okay.
Once you get the
Problem
parts,
is
you just,
now that dog leg 5-speed is worth almost as much as the car.
Oh,
right.
because I guess they were mostly automatic, so a lot of people want them. The demand is there.
Yeah.
Wow. And then there's this Facebook group I follow. It's called "I Got Screwed by Shady JDM Importer." So, and people document their not amazing experiences, sad experiences with so many people that like import cars, or even they think the car is gonna turn out one way, but then it turns out another way, or they think, because I know there's a rating system in the auctions, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, how does that work, and how does that make how are you sure you're not getting a bad deal?
Well, once again, you have to have a reliable source over there that's going to confirm or deny whatever you're reading.
Yeah.
In Japan, there's different types of auctions. The highest one there's called USS auction.
Okay.
They're the one that has the most inventory. Most guys go through there. And dealers, when they sell an auction, they have to do disclosure. They have to say, okay, this is what's right or wrong on the card, or something wrong on the car. And they have to say that, right? And the grading system, like, because in Canada we can do 15 years or older, so majority of cars coming over, the top grade is a 5. You'll never find a 5. If you do, you're paying big money.
Top
for
dollar,
it. Yeah, you're going to be paying, because it's probably some rare, it could be a Ferrari 4.5, grade or whatever. So most of the cars you're going to come across will probably be a 4 or 3.5, and then they'll rate the interior. A being perfect and D being trash. And the interiors are somewhere between a B and a C, and they're not stuff like. But over in Japan, because of the heat, like a lot of the cars
Cracks.
Well, not so much cracks. your headliners start sagging.
Oh, okay.
I've had a number, especially BMWs. You know, they had that kind of a, I don't know what the hell,
The
a
glue?
felty foam. Yeah, it just basically all fell apart. So, and the first thing I had to do when I came over here, I had to redo the headliners, right? But there's stuff like that, but generally, of all the cars I brought over, I think of only maybe 2 or 3 times when I arrived there going, oh man, we just got a piece of crap, right?
Yeah.
And you have to fix it. Like I have,
So in that situation, what do you do?
you fix it.
Okay.
But you know, my approach in buying these cars was if I can't pay top dollar for these cars, because regardless what the guy tells me, it's like Murphy's Law. There's
always
something
things.
gotta be wrong. There's always something wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be prepared to spend money when you get them here to get them to pass inspection, you know, and also to resell them. They have to be decent cars. Otherwise, guys ain't gonna buy them. But I never did this as a business. This was just a pastime for me. It was a hobby, right? I didn't have a business shop. And most of the stuff, I would say probably almost half the stuff I brought in was for people I knew that was looking for something specifically.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and of course, I'm there always looking for something that of interest. And it comes, and I'll drive them for a little bit, and then I'll sell them. And then at the time when I was buying this stuff, they were readily available. Now you're trying to find the same car, you can't get them. Like for instance, E30 wagons.
Oh.
See, there
Like-
used to be deals to be had.
Oh yeah,
That's why
Really?
you're watching it. Now there's no deal.
There's no deal. But
Really?
I was buying E30 wagons, 12 years ago, and I wasn't paying a lot of money for them, and I brought in half a dozen of these suckers.
So is the market like oversaturated now with people trying to buy them?
No, there's no more inventory.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
I
guess
mean,
they
there's only
made
so
them
many
in
were
a-
available, and then now an E30 1990 wagon is a 30-year-old car.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like at the time that we were bringing Mercedes and stuff over, they were cutting Skylines in half. They didn't even bring the whole car over. They just cut it off
Wow.
of the firewall because everybody only wanted RB26s.
Oh,
So they didn't even
okay.
ship the cars. Like there was container loads full of motors.
Yeah.
Now everybody wants Skylines.
Yeah.
But back then they were almost worthless. You could get a Skyline for like $6-7 grand.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, like a motor, a full
What?
drivetrain was like $4,500.
Yeah.
And instead
Yeah.
of shipping the car because you're paying by weight, they would just cut them right off of the firewall. Fill the container
Right
full.
down,
You
right
get a whole
down
container
at the
full of
bottom of the
mold.
A-pillar, and they just give you the whole front end.
Yeah.
Whereas
you
now
go.
it's like some kind of like, oh, it's JDM, so you're paying extra. Now.
JDM tax, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas
Oh my
there,
gosh.
JDM was like nobody cared about it. They just wanted power plants.
And so when you guys went to Japan, were there like classic old school JDM stuff there, like in the public roads? Like, did you see a lot of them?
Not really, because you got to pay tax to drive them.
Oh, wait, what is?
And then there's a lot
Like
of other
older
weird
cars?
things, like your motor. If your motor gets a certain amount of kilometers on it, it has to be replaced, not repaired, replaced.
What?
So you don't see a lot of it. Like when we went out to like Nagoya and stuff, you started seeing like that's like the outskirts.
Yep.
You started to see a little bit older stuff, but in the cities, you didn't see any. You actually didn't even see a lot of cars in general, because the transit system there is so.
Oh,
awesome.
I see.
So good. Not only that too, but if you're in, say, downtown in heart of Tokyo, only cars you'll see in the heart of Tokyo is this little micro cars,
They have little
K
Nissan,
cars.
little K cars,
Toyotas.
600cc cars, because first of all, it's really crowded, and secondly, they don't want a lot of pollution in the city.
Makes sense.
And those things are only used commercially. The guys are only delivering stuff with them, right? But in basically that's the only time you see them. If you want to see, JDM or Big Benzes or whatever, you have to go out in the freeways, and they're all heading out.
Yeah, and you pull up to like freeway
Up the
check
prefect or
stops,
somewhere.
and they look and make sure your car is worthy of going on the freeway.
That's
Or
a
they'll turn you
thing?
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
It's so weird. We pull up to this check stop, and it's like, oh, they're just making sure you got like good tires and stuff. And
What?
Yeah,
That I
weird.
mean, that's actually cool though. Like,
They have nice roads there, though.
yeah.
Yeah, like everything there is really well maintained.
Yeah.
In comparison to here,
Mm.
you bring JDM wheels and stuff over here, you'll be lucky if you get a month out of them. They're like made out of tinfoil. They're bent, wobbling off. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, no. The over there, like you said, older cars. Once they get a certain age, in Japan, you have to register your car every 2 years, and it's not cheap. I mean, you have to get them all tested mechanically and all this other stuff. So a lot of the stuff, like unless they're the guys are collectors or they're really high end cars, they don't stay there. But anything like that's JDM, like the run of the mill domestic product. I mean, that stuff just like it's cycled through. A lot of that stuff gets put into a ship or a container and shipped
And
off.
just sent out
It's shipped
from
off to
Japan.
Africa and all these different places.
That
They
makes
don't-
so much
they don't-
sense.
That's where you'll
'Cause
find
it's
a lot of the old
almost free.
stuff. Yeah.
Because like you see like right-hand drive Civics here, you're like, why did you import that?
Yeah.
You'll get it for like $100.
Yeah.
It costs $1,500 to bring it over here. So you're like, oh, okay, I'm into this thing for $2,000.
Yeah.
But that's like Previa vans, all that stuff now is.
So that's why there's so many of them here.
yeah, because they're almost free.
Cheap.
They just
You
need
get
to
to pay
get
for
it
shipping. You get the car for $100, and then you got to pay for the shipping. It costs you
for
$3,500 to get it here. Wow,
Wow.
Like-
Right?
And sell it for like 10 grand or something.
Yeah, now you're starting to see Civic SIs, like right-hand drive Civic SIs, little things like that. But you're like, why would you do that? But then now, of course, the left-hand drive one's like $5 grand, $6 grand, so it makes sense again. But
Yeah.
Wow.
but you go there and you see a lot of like further out, we saw a lot of American cars, which was wild because they like cars that are 300s and Corvettes, and they
That's
love
cool.
American cars.
Yeah.
So a lot of cars go there, but then they're old enough that it's like they get some special. I don't even know what it is. It's kind of like
Some kind of
Free pass to
trade
drive
deal
it.
or something like that.
because where we went, it was like we went out to this crazy body kit manufacturer, and it was like the first car I saw was like a '64 Impala, and I was like, "What?" That was not what I was expecting to see. Just cruising down the street, it was pretty wild though.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the city in Tokyo, we didn't see a lot of cars, even in general. Like you could just walk, maybe one a minute.
That's
There
crazy.
wasn't many cars out at all,
Wow. That's
and
awesome.
parking garages are empty.
Oh yeah, and then what about because I know in Japan there's like the garages that do the revolving thing, like you park them and then they do like
You'll see a lot of those.
shuffling.
But like
Oh, that's cool.
like concrete parking garages.
Yeah.
There's nobody in them.
Oh, okay.
Like they're empty. That's why they throw all those meetups in them.
That's why you'll find a lot of cars out of Japan too are because in Japan, it's quite hot there, especially in southern Japan and major, and also there's a lot of acid rain there.
Oh, because of the
Because of
pollution.
industry and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It's probably better now, but 10, 15 years ago. But so a lot of cars you come from Japan, you'll see a lot of the paint and that have a lot of issues,
Oh, I see.
right? Especially you'll see the peeling and not always on the flat surfaces, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So that's because they have no place to park, so they're all sitting outside, right? So that's what happens with all of those cars, especially just I would call like a stock Mercedes a guy want to buy or something like that. Not an AMG, but just a lot of guys bring a lot of stock stuff over, right? Especially like wagons and things that
Yeah.
are readily available. And so they'll bring that stuff over. A diesel Mercedes will come over here because he couldn't get the diesel ones here. So, but the thing though, then you get the paint issues. I mean, there was a guy here. I looked at his. He had a 210 wagon with a 4.3 liter V8 in it, which was and that was only available in Europe.
Yeah.
But never brought over here. So I looked at it. It was a local car, and the old guy had, and he thought he had the greatest thing. And I looked at, God, your paint's in really bad shape,
Yeah.
And he said, well, then I said, this car and I knew this car had to be a Japanese car because there's all these indicators. They had little light indicators right on the back of the fender, right? That's where they usually mount them.
Yep.
And of course, there's Japanese writing in the engine compartment, little labels, and all the stickers everywhere, right? So
One of the Japanese things that like every Japanese car that was coming is full of electronics.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like all these different toll road things, you put cars
Yeah.
in. It's got
Wakarimasen.
TV.
They say the voice. The toll booth.
It's
thing.
got all these toll booth things and TV screens and antennas and all this kind of wild stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
He actually had, what was it, like an E300 convertible that never came here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got in, it spoke Japanese. And like it handed you the seatbelt, like your little seatbelt.
Yeah,
thing.
delivers the
Spoke
seatbelt
to
to
you
you.
in Japanese. I was like,
That's
whoa,
so
this thing's
awesome.
so cool.
Yeah.
And so, if you guys could, if the money was no object and you could import any JDM car right now, regardless of the decade, it can be 50 years old, what would you guys import?
Wow.
Nothing.
Nothing?
I'm not into JDM cars.
Yeah.
What?
Pretty much any car that I want, you can buy in North America.
Yeah.
So there's really no advantage. Like at the time when we started,
Wow.
there was an actual monetary advantage to buying that stuff. Whereas now there's not. Everything's so inflated and overpriced. Like if I was going to pay $250,000 for something, there's too many cars here. I'd
So
buy.
you don't like classic like 70s like Hakosuka?
No.
No?
No, when I was doing
Unless-
Thank
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Thank
I mean,
you.
come on.
but you
don't care to
can't.
own
You couldn't
one.
find one of those anyways. But when I was doing most of my importation there, I focused more on left-hand drive European cars because a lot of the other guys that were doing the JDM, they're looking for like Supras and stuff, and I go, nah, I'm more interested in the limited production German or
German cars. Okay.
Yeah,
French cars or whatever. That's what I kind of focused. I brought in Alphas. I brought in all kinds of stuff. But my number rule was it's got to be left-hand drive, right? I don't want
Otherwise,
right-hand
it's hard
drive.
to sell. Now it's cool, but
Yeah.
then you couldn't sell them. You couldn't even hardly give them away.
It's still not cool.
The only car I brought over,
Right-hand drive?
It's not cool.
I think it is the coolest thing. I'm a JDM boy.
yeah.
I love
But it's like I did bring over a right-hand drive car, but it wasn't a JDM. It was a TVR.
Oh,
Right?
I love
Remember that
TVRs.
my yellow Chimera?
I remember that.
I, had
I
a yellow
love the Chimera.
I had
Oh
Chimera
my
yellow.
God.
I had one of those, right?
Isn't that a bunch of Lotuses?
That is
All kinds of
secretly
ones.
and
one
that-
of
and the
my- one
right-hand
of the cars
drive,
I
yeah,
want
yeah.
so
That
bad.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
100%. You know why?
Why?
Because half the components in that car are from Home Depot.
Oh, really?
That suits your whole thing.
It fits my theme.
Elvis has a top 10 list of like the ugliest cars in the whole world.
No, the Chimera is awesome.
That was good. Yeah, that thing good. Like stick manual
I
steering.
love
Like
TVR.
that thing. It's like, oh, my arms.
Like with all those Wish jokes, the Chimera is like a Viper from Wish.
yeah.
And
It looks
the
cool,
styling is
though.
the same. They
It
ripped off
looks
the
so
styling.
cool.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
got
I
Viper
love
and a
like
Miata
their
got
like the
together.
rear of the TVR taillights that were like L-shaped but upside down.
He
Ooh.
brought it to the shop because he needed a few little things fixed up, and I think there was like a sliding like gate latch held the top on, and, like, regular piano hinges.
Is that OEM?
Yeah,
That's,
yeah, from the factory.
That's character.
When I was looking for parts for that car, and I go into the TVR websites and look at the catalog, well, that's a Renault part, and that's a BMW part, and that's a Vauxhall part.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
the parts
crazy.
bin
Just the
came
parts
from-
being special.
Oh yeah,
But it sounded amazing. It had like a
Yeah.
little Rover V8.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
Came in
love
the
that
rain,
car.
I was like, oh man! I got out there. I was like, oh,
No, I
this thing looks like a kit car.
it's a bright yellow car.
Yeah.
Nah, that's one of my favorite British cars. I
Like
think.
the Speed 12 would be cool to have.
Speed 12. I don't think I knew that one.
It's like the big boy TVR.
I've always been a fan of the TVR Griffith.
Yes.
I tried to buy one of those.
Oh, I love the
couldn't quite hit
Griffith.
the mark on it, but the
Yeah,
Griffith,
yeah.
It looks
Just a
so good.
beast of a car.
I love that. Also V8, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's a monster.
It's the
a
same
monster.
the same period as the Chimera, but
Yeah,
there was a more road like more track version.
Of all the cars that you brought in from Japan, Charlie, I mean, it's a lot. You brought in a lot. Is there any cars that stand out in your mind, in your experience driving, that are basically the 1, 2, and 3? Like, what are your favorites?
Well, there's cars that I bought and sold that
Yeah.
I wish I should have held on to. Like the remember I had the E28 Alpina.
I remember that car.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
that
a
car,
cool one.
That was a nice car. It was an automatic, but still, it was in really nice shape, and I had that, and I had some issues, and I finally got it fixed and running right. I thought, oh man, this one runs great. And then, but I ended up selling that.
Yeah.
And then,
That car was funny because being an Alpina, you have this this impression of what it is.
What it's
but,
like.
the Alpina badging inside looked like it came from a trophy store. It's just like a brass plaque on
it
the
was,
dash.
yeah, and the number Alpina,
And
then
Alpina,
the
that's
production
funny.
number and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
It was
right?
like one of those "don't
Yeah.
meet your heroes" kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was early Alpina.
But it was
too.
cool.
This was
like
the
the
A28. Like
pinstriping,
yeah.
racing.
Oh,
dynamics
that's cool.
wheels.
Oh yeah, had
like,
all
it was
had
cool.
all their striping and the Alpina wheels, and it was
It looked cool. It was awesome.
really cool.
It was
car.
really
Yeah.
cool. So that was a good car.
That was a good car.
Any
And
other
then,
ones?
No, the M6, the black.
I remember.
black
See,
The black one.
To me,
M6.
what I remember from seeing of all your cars, that one stands out to me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
That would've
was
been
a
a
dreamy
keeper,
car.
That car there I had brought over and it had some issues, but then I was able to fix it, no problem. It wasn't running right, but I took it to a buddy of mine and he did his magic on the thing, ran like a clock. Mm-hmm. I yanked out all the hydraulic system, suspension on it and put in the Bilsteins and the HR springs and
So cool.
and corrected the stance
black
of
on
the
black,
flat.
hard top.
And
sharp
then,
nose,
and I found out
Nike
later
bees.
that the one I had was a factory shadow line model. So basically, all the chrome was blacked out
Oh, from the factory.
from the factory.
Wow.
Because I remember I had on Bring a Trailer, and the guy's, oh man, like you blacked out all the
Rattle
chrome. He's going like, what'd you do with all the chrome and stuff like this, right? And I'm going like, dude, this is factory shadow line option. Oh, I don't know what that is. I never see that in North America. Yeah, because
It's
is factory.
imported.
You had to import it this way or order it from the factory.
That is so cool.
So that was one car I wish I never sold.
That was a nice car.
But that was a transition between the M6 to the Chimera. Well, the Chimera looks like fun. The Roadster, this and that.
Oh, I love that Chimera.
Yeah.
Griffith. TVR is a great, I mean, are they still around?
Oh yeah.
TVR?
Yeah.
I don't think they're still in business.
They haven't made a car. I know
think
they
they might have-
promised the manual. I don't know what was it, a new Griffith or something,
And they might have, yeah.
and they never brought
I
it
think
out or
somebody
something like
bought
that.
The name, it's kind of like a DeLorean type thing, but I don't
Yeah.
think the original TVR.
Yeah, they're
So sad.
very limited production, and plus, you're. I mean, they're basically just parts bins cars, right? They made their own body out of fiberglass and the chassis, but then after that, it's just a matter of pulling stuff off bins and stick it in there.
At Home Depot.
Right?
I think I remember seeing. Did you not have like a Lancia Delta
yeah,
intake
yeah,
with
yeah.
something,
Yeah.
something like that? No,
that's
it
another
was-
one we should have kept.
Oh my god!
I had that Lancia Delta Integrales. I think I had about 3 or 4 of them. I lose track. But anyways,
4 of them.
yeah, I brought
What?
I brought them in and I sell them or whatever. But I had one there. I brought in a Lancia Delta Integrale Evo, right? First generation Evo. It was white one. And I
Okay,
brought
I'm
in-
dying over here.
Yeah,
This
and
is-
then-
He's had a bunch of cool cars.
and the buddy of mine who Kappa who's
He bought it off
The-
you, didn't he?
yeah, he
race
made a
thing.
deal. So as soon as he saw, he's a big Delta,
my
and he's got a race that he built, a Delta Integrale race car,
wow.
like a race, like it was he took it to Penticton on a hill climb,
Yeah, the hill climb car.
and he took it off the road, and
oh no.
did a bunch of stuff, but he fixed it.
Oh, he didn't wreck. Oh, he didn't wreck it.
Well, no, it wasn't like
Okay.
total, but he cut it off the road and then damaged underneath. But he's a mechanic, he can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he as soon as he saw that car, he said, man, I want this car, and I'm going like, okay.
Oh, my
So we worked
gosh.
out a deal for some work and plus paying me some cash and this and that. So
What was
it
the
worked out
Mini that
okay.
you had?
Oh, the Mini, the ERA, the
It was a little wide body turbo
little,
Mini.
it's basically
From a factory wide
Yeah.
body. Oh,
Well, no, it's what it
It
is
was like
is
race prepped.
that is
yeah,
cool.
it was. I just sold it recently to a guy locally, but it was a Mini ERA. It's called ERA. ERA stands for English Racing Automobile,
Oh,
right? And this
fancy.
little company in England that basically took this Mini, was like Mr. Bean Mark II Mini, and it had the 1.275 motor, but it only had a single carb, but it had a turbo on it, right? And basically, and they put a body kit on it, like a full body kit around
Yep,
it.
yep.
And they put in 13-inch wheel monoblocks on it.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like, just look at this thing. It was like just like a Mini on steroids.
Oh, that's
But it was
cool.
all done all in their shop. It wasn't like somebody who did a kit. This is like, and they only produced about less than 600 of these over about a 2-year period. And most of them were shipped to Japan.
Oh my gosh,
They
that's
built them
cool.
like I guess some guy in Japan, a dealer said, look, I want to bring these cars over and want them like this. And so I guess they shipped a bunch over there.
That's so cool.
So
This
I
was
picked
like
up
wide
that.
body over fenders before they were cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
I just want to keep I want to do it myself. I want to import some JDM cars, one of them being the Century, of course. I love the Toyota Century. I want one. I had the opportunity, a friend of mine just imported one, and so I had the opportunity of having it for a week, and it was so nice,
You need to
comfortable.
describe what it looks like just in case people don't know.
So imagine you're a 2-year-old and they tell you to draw a car. The whole box, that's kind of what it looks like.
Like if you took the headlights,
You're not selling me very well, or anybody else.
No,
I
it's
think.
not beautiful.
it looks the same going forward as it does backwards.
Yeah.
It's not beautiful, but it's amazing because of just the amount of not just history behind it, but the amount of how comfortable it is. It was like I could go on and on, but it has like 9 layers of paint. And like the front, it was only sold
that
to
to
like
hold it together?
CEOs.
Yeah.
Wow, no, it was only
Man.
sold to like
Yeah.
the government and CEOs, like in Japan. It wasn't sold to the actual public.
Did it not have like pockets in the fenders to put your diplomat flags?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And like
you needed to be one of those.
it comes with shoehorns, and like you can the front passenger seat, you can push down the back and then put your foot through it, and then recline the rear seats. Oh, automatically, it is glorious.
I mean, that sounds pretty cool.
And then it has like blinds at the back that like open and close, like because it's a JDM, like it's like a Japanese Rolls Royce. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Air suspension, V12, the only V12 Toyota ever put in a car, even though it makes like 275 horsepower. But
I don't even think it makes that much.
no, it actually is not bad. Like it has
sounds
like
like an
sport
LS
mode
swap coming
too.
up.
It has like sport mode, it has like snow. It's not bad. So I want one so bad.
What year did they build those on?
They've built it for, I think, the second gen. They built it from like late 90s to like early 2005, 6.
Right.
And then the new one. So they've only had, I think, 3 or 4 generations, but they pretty much almost all look the same.
Yeah.
Even the new ones.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're probably very limited production numbers on those.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
think
want
you gotta
one.
pay extra because it weighs so much when they put it on.
I know.
Yeah, they go.
It is a boat. It is a big
Shipping
boat.
by volume, like
Yeah.
how much volume, it is, right? How much room does it take in the boat? Does that they charge you by volume?
Yeah, but I want one.
That'll be a roll-on, roll-off for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the flags.
Yeah.
It's so smooth. God, I love that car. And it has massaging seats. I almost forgot about that part. Massaging, heated,
That's ahead of its
TV
time,
in
for
the
sure.
back seat.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
With
it's a pretty
antennas
cool
on
car.
it.
But I mean, Charlie, most of the cars that you ever brought in were more like special edition sort of.
German stuff.
very,
All
very
limited
British.
production, Yeah, I mean they're like AMGs, Alpinas, M3s,
Very cool.
M6s, anything that I thought. And then I brought over a bunch of 124 convertibles because we only had them here for a few years, and then they stopped importing. So I brought a bunch of those. I mean, I brought over stuff that interests me that I wanted to drive.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I said, the E30 wagons. Like I really like those. I had an E30 way back when, you know, and a convertible back in the 80s when they first came out. I remember buying one of those new, and I had a lot of E30 stuff, and but yeah, like just stuff that I stuff you couldn't. My idea is that if I had something nobody else has, then at least I got an attentive market. If I ever want to sell it, I'm going to have. I don't need 40 guys looking for Civics. I just need the one guy looking for this car.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's
So
what
cool.
All
happens
the
a lot.
Japanese stuff has gone so crazy, but even the German stuff is. And most of that stuff doesn't even make it to Canada anymore. It goes back to Germany.
Yeah.
Like they're
Wow.
all about the original OG AMGs, the M-Tech cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Porsches are all going back to Germany, so they're like crazy expensive now.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, about I don't know how many years ago it was. Probably about 6 or 7 or 8 years ago. Or after a while, you start noticing the price of stuff is going up, and because most of it's being bought up by, like I said, the Germans, the Russians, right before the war. But they were buying a lot of stuff too, and a lot of stuff went to Saudis.
Oh.
They like that old stuff, and the
Oh.
guys like it basically is money. So money was not an object. So once that started happening, it was pretty hard to compete with those
With
guys.
that, yeah.
yeah, because
They just want it,
I have
don't
to
pay
put in the
whatever.
risk factor. They don't care. Yeah, bring it. We'll fix it. We don't care. We just want that car.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So you couldn't compete with that. Plus, our dollar started tanking pretty good. When I was buying this stuff, our dollar was doing really well.
Yeah.
So I mean, like basically almost at par with U.S.
Yeah.
So
but now it's
Now it's like.
downhill.
Well, yes and no. Recently the Japanese yen is also. I mean, the American dollar has always been pretty strong. So all the other currencies kind of, but our dollar, although it has come down, has been pretty stable compared to other world currencies. So
Yeah.
with Japan right now, I mean, at one point, used to be able to convert. The thing says it was 500,000 yen in Japan. That's basically about $5,000 Canadian. For a while, it was like 5,000 yen, 500,000 yen was about $4,200 Canadian.
Oh, wow. So
it was
almost
like
even.
but now it's up to about, if you do a direct kind of quick calculation, 500,000 yen right now is about 48. 4,800.
so- okay.
It's gone up, but although our dollar and the yen has been kind of sucking
Yeah.
against the U.S. dollar, the yen has sucked even more.
Yeah.
Right, because ours is kind of like, although we're getting beat up, everybody's getting beat up by the dollar,
Yeah.
U.S. dollar. But we at least we're kind of holding our own a bit, although it still costs a lot of money for us to convert it over. But yeah, I mean, but once those guys got in there competing, like especially for Ferraris, remember we looked at that 456.
Oh,
Yeah, they were super cheap.
Like, we were looking at a 456, and I said, "What do you think, Tim? It's a 456,
I like those cars.
six-speed, and all this stuff."
They were like 15
It was like
grand.
It was like 20 grand, 20,000
What?
bucks,
Like
right?
15 grand US, like 20K.
Yeah, 50,
What?
20K. I'm like,
Is
what
that
do
a
you think? He
V12?
said, yeah.
Yeah, front engine V12.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And we were going like, yeah, you know. Then we started.
Wow.
Then I think that's when you say, "Well, my buddy says it was all the servicing costs on them," and I said, "Okay, maybe we should back off, right?" You know.
Now
But
they're
we-
like 50, 60, 70 grand.
Yeah.
But you have
Well,
to sit on this stuff for like
true.
years.
Yeah.
Like even my 2.5, when I bought it, I paid, I think, $8,000 for it, and everybody thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, are you nuts? This
Landed.
is a $500 car.
Landed.
That is.
And now in the interim, it's done better than my mutual fund.
you see, so cars are an investment.
Yeah.
So
That's how you can sell it.
yeah, explain to
wait.
your significant other. This car is an investment. So that's
If you buy
tips.
right, if you
Yeah,
buy
tips
right.
and tricks.
Only the right cars.
Yeah.
I think if we would have had a piece of property, had a big warehouse or big ass garage,
Where you
probably
just
would-
store all the cars?
But he could have
We'd
kept
all
the
be
cars.
in trouble.
Yeah.
But instead, I had to kind of move cars around to different parkades and this and that. And it was like storage got to be a bit of an issue.
I think half the money he's made off of
outside.
them is because he forgot he had them.
Oh, like, oh, sure. I forgot it was in this garage.
No. This is a 12-year investment. Like, oh, you forgot you had it.
You got to be careful too, because you're paying all that storage cost. Like you add that all up, and then by the time you sell the car, I'm just breaking even.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
so you got to be careful of that too.
Awesome. With that said, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Charles.
And we'll catch you guys next week. If you like this video / podcast, give it a thumbs up. Rate it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Give us 5 stars so we can move up and more people can hear all the things we have to see about cars and JDM things and modified cars. So we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.